Every once in a while, you come across someone who is living a beautiful life, year in and year out, regardless of the trauma or the uncertainty or the detours that happen to us all. They are the stars who shine with divine love as they quietly go about doing good. I met a truly inspiring woman a few years back. She's a member here. Sorry, I have this, it keeps going off every time I forward. The joy of the Lord shakes my, I don't know what it is, it's nerves probably. Anyways, so I called this woman up and I asked how she was doing. And it always amazes me when God takes our ordinary moments and makes them extraordinary. And I'm sure you've had this happen to you. Her name is Carol, and I have her permission to share this story with you. She had just gotten cataract surgery, and things weren't quite so fuzzy anymore, she said. And we talked about the healthcare folks and how we appreciate them and how they help us to heal. And I was feeling pretty good about this good deed I had made to call her up, encouraging someone in my faith community. And it's what Jesus did so often in his travels, reaching out to those around him, regardless of their religion or ethnic background. He always showed kindness and respect and love. But I soon realized that my reaching out to her was reflecting Jesus' light back to me. Something changed as we spoke. Carol had lived a hard life, she told me, yet through it all, there threaded a divine purpose and an amazing anchor of love had held her and knit her together through her life, as it does for all of us. When Carol was still in high school, her grandma got sick. And she remembered coming home one day and her mom said to her, "Don't take your coat off. We have to go to the hospital. Grandma is very ill." Soon it became apparent that Grandma could no longer live on her own. And her mom told Carol, "You're going to have to go and put your life on hold for a while. Grandma needs someone to stay with her. You'll have to go." Carol wrestled with this sudden about-face, which would mean changing schools and even towns. But she loved her grandma, so she dutifully packed her bags and went. Her grandma was quite set in her ways, she found, and she was a quiet soul who rarely spoke her mind. But her grandma knew that Carol missed the piano that she used to have in her home. And so one day, when Carol came in from school, her grandma said, "Don't take off your coat. We're going to the flea market." And off they beetled to the flea market. And when they were there, they saw a piano for sale. The pads in behind the keys were eaten away by mice. It was missing some of its keys. And her grandma said, "What do you think of that?" And she said, "It's just garbage. It's no good for anything." A few weeks later, Carol came in from school and her grandma met her at the door and she said, can you guess? "Don't take off your coat. I've got something to show you." Grandma led her into the dining room and there was the piano, beautifully refurbished and lovingly polished. What a joy. Now Carol could continue playing and learning the piano, and it continues to be a blessing here in this city. As she told me, she still plays for a couple of choirs here in the city in some of the senior centers. I'm just amazed at that. Her grandma's favorite song was "Catch a Falling Star." Does anyone know it? Yeah, And the reason she remembers that is because her grandma sat right down that day and played it for her while she's standing there with her coat on. And I got thinking about this story as I was writing it. This Sunday is a day when most pastors take a break, and the pulpits are filled with folk like us, lay pastors, and perhaps members of the congregation, and I'm ever so grateful for Phil. I'm not sure where he went. Up in the choir, for helping and being those arms that hold us up through the service and help us keep on track. The passing of an old year and the beginning of a new gives us opportunity to reset, doesn't it? The colored lights of Christmas are still perhaps glowing in our living rooms. Mine is down, I have to admit, but some are. And we have so much to be thankful for, so much. Those we love that perhaps we visited, those who instilled love with us, who are perhaps gone beyond the veil, the wisdom keepers in our midst who placed a spark in our life to follow our stars, like Carol's grandma did. Some of us have set goals and resolutions, and I won't talk about that because you always go on a diet Sunday after dinner. I think that's pretty much all year round. My experience, anyways. So we move into the future, and it's a clean slate. And we know that we are held as we take that step forward. We know that there are arms of love holding us. We may be called to a bedside. We may be called to stand at a graveside. We may be called to forgive someone who's hurt us, or to care for our own health this year. We don't know, just as Carol was called. But maybe we should leave our coats on. Sometimes it's hard for us to replenish our own spirits, and we feel kind of emotionally drained and weary. And we might need to recharge a bit, just like we're doing here, with music and song and words of love from our Creator. Jesus needed time to replenish and refresh in his life, and he needed time to stretch and grow too. And he sought out those who would encourage him, and he felt the need to come to church. I never really thought about it like that. We always talk about it as the temple. And I have to say, I've only ever been once in a temple of the synagogue, which is where he would have been drawn to. But when we come to church, it's what we do. We replenish and refresh and restore our hearts and souls. The teachers were so taken with him, impressed by his answers, and he was wanting to stay there all day, a couple of days. His parents came to see him. He wasn't ready to go, and yet he said, yes, I'll go home, and I'll learn what you can teach me. It was the carpentry business from his stepdad, and just being a part of his own community where he lived. He never forgot his earthly obligations, because even from the cross, he looked down at John and said, remember my mom. Remember my mom. Look after her. We, like Carol and John, are called to shine our light as God gives us strength. And it might be hard to lay aside our plans, but I encourage you to leave your coat on. We never know what God is asking and what we are walking into in the coming year. I'm ever so grateful for the Trinity folk who are here today, who are stepping into a new future. You've come from the east to the west of London, and you're nesting with us. And life is not easy, is it? Life never is. But we welcome you with open arms. And we're so glad that you're here You might find yourself catching a falling star in the coming months. You might find yourself popping into knitting class. Everyone can knit a stitch. Everyone. And the stitches we knit are stitches of love that connect us together in behind the scenes on Wednesdays. That was an announcement, advertisement. But there are so many ways that we can connect together. Or just come and sit and warm in the glow of each other's presence. Turn to your neighbor and say, I am so glad you're here. Right now. I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. Did you hear what happened? What happened? Laughter and joy. Like those bubbles my granddaughter brings and just half of dumps onto the carpet, but the rest of it goes up. And they burst, and she dances and she laughs. That's what we're all about. That's what God's love does for us. Even in the hardest and darkest of times, the star still shines. So leave your coat on. You never know what the next minute will bring you in this new year. Amen.